Tonight, an emergency response to an overdose surge. What happens when harm reduction teams are called into urgent action? Plus, more program cuts at Fanshawe College.
We understand that students who may have expected or anticipated to be participating in these programs will be undoubtedly disappointed.
The latest cost-saving measure facing a growing deficit. And the humble beginnings of an extraterrestrial explorer, family connections and local bonds for astronaut Jeremy Hansen.
We're really proud of him. We couldn't be prouder.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Officials with local harm reduction agencies say the pills behind yesterday's rash of downtown overdoses likely contained fentanyl. They say 39 overdoses were reported. Jerry Dewan has more on the response and the efforts to limit the damage.
This was the scene at London Cares just after 1 this afternoon as emergency crews responded to a reported overdose. Social agencies and first responders are accustomed to working quickly and in coordination to limit the impacts of overdose, but their resources were put to the test on Wednesday.
Yesterday, late morning, we were being alerted by community partners that there was an increase in overdoses in community.
Lily Bialis is interim director for London's CarePoint Harm Reduction and Treatment Services. Her agency was alerted to a surge in overdose calls in the downtown, followed quickly by reports that someone was giving people pills for free from their car.
What we had heard was that the substance was yellow in color and that it was having an opioid-like response for people in terms of overdose.
More than a dozen people had to be treated, with reports indicating the pills being distributed likely contained fentanyl. A formal drug advisory was issued based on the information received.
What does the substance look like? What are the effects that it's having for people? And then what is the harm reduction best practice?
Biala says the quick response of police, fire, EMS, social agencies, and members of the public likely limited the impact of the incident and may have saved lives.
It's really concerning, and it just goes to show that there is toxicity in the drug supply. So these drug advisories, harm reduction best practices really supports people in being able to make informed decisions and being able to keep themselves safe.
Biala says the incident also reinforces her agency's core messages when it comes to drug use.
So coming to a facility like ours with supervised consumption is definitely one of the main things that we highlight, as well as testing samples when you're able to. In addition, not using alone, making sure you have naloxone on hand, even staggering use between people as well if using in a group.
London police say their investigation continues as they look to identify the suspect or suspects, including the vehicle involved. They're also trying to confirm the exact nature of the substance being distributed. Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
Fanshawe College officials have announced 9 more programs are being cut, their latest measure in dealing with a growing deficit. With more on what's hitting the chopping block this time, here's Brian Bicknell.
Fanshawe College says it can no longer afford to maintain programs that operate at a deficit or no longer match student and labor market needs.
We are looking at enrollment demand, we're looking at labor market demand, and we're looking at the financial stability of that program.
The college has announced it's cutting 9 programs effective this September. They include photography advanced, advanced ergonomics, dental assisting, game development advanced, 3 co-op programs, manufacturing engineering tech, software and information testing and tech systems analysis, user experience design, visual effects and editing for contemporary media.
We understand that students who may have expected or anticipated to be participating in these programs will be undoubtedly disappointed, but we're committed to working with each one of those applicants to find other spots for them to land at Fanshawe.
The latest cuts followed 10 program cuts announced late last year and 40 last spring. Fanshawe projects its deficit at more than $54 million by 2027-28. The cuts are due in part to continued decline in international student enrollments. Cluett says there will be no full-time faculty cuts.
These programs that we're suspending do not have impacts with our full-time faculty, so there will not be any full-time faculty impacted by these suspensions.
Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Residents in the Walkerton area are under a flood warning as other parts of Midwestern Ontario see floodwaters recede. Local authorities say the Saugeen River is running high tonight through Walkerton following 2 days of closed roads and bridges. Elsewhere, floodwaters are receding in places like Lucknow, Paisley, and Port Albert. Water levels are expected to remain high and fast through the weekend, with local officials urging caution around all waterways.
Good evening, I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. One big system, we dealt with that, hitting the east coast now with rain, snow, freezing rain towards Atlantic Canada, the Maritimes. The next one is sweeping across the upper U.S. Central Plains and Midwestern states from Wisconsin towards Michigan through tonight into tomorrow morning. We're going to see a rain-snow mix. Right now, a cool-ish, but seasonal for this time of day, +1, and the winds picking up out of the northwest tonight. It will be a windy Friday, and anticipate some accumulations and some heavy snow in parts of the Midwestern tier of southern Ontario over the next 24 hours. I'll break down the complete forecast in moments. For now, I'll send it back to the desk. Carlyle.
Thank you, Gary. Several months after the city expropriated the land under a Wellington Road restaurant, the former owner says municipal staff haven't done enough to secure the property from potentially dangerous metal thieves. With more, here's Daryl Newcomb.
Totally removed the compressor and cut out all the copper.
Metal thieves and scavengers are making the closure of Curry's restaurant even more disheartening for longtime owner Pramod Kakadia.
6 out of 7 days in a row, every day we come in, we're broken into a different door, damages everywhere.
Expropriated by City Hall for the bus rapid transit route, Kakadia must be out by the end of the month.
Totally broken up.
But a series of break-ins have required daily work to resecure entrances from metal thieves who each night are stripping the building of copper pipes, wiring, and anything else of value.
Way down here. Rip right out.
And some of the commercial kitchen equipment he was arranging to sell has already been destroyed.
They damaged everything in the sink, so we can't really sell the sink anymore. They totally ripped apart the walk-in cooler freezer compressors for $20 worth of copper.
And beyond the financial loss, the discovery of 3 large knives shows some of the intruders are dangerous.
You don't know what you're going to run into. So I don't know, we don't want to get into a physical confrontation with somebody. They shouldn't be here.
And it's not just the former Curry's building that's been impacted. You can see indications of metal theft on some of these other commercial buildings that have also been acquired by the city.
The city should know how to deal with. They're dealing with this kind of properties all over the place, not just this one property. And safety and security should be of importance to everyone.
City Hall tells CTV News, quote, "We use a variety of measures to maintain the safety of properties acquired by the city."
They've just ripped it out all the way down to the other end. It's tough enough to move and get emptied and get the building emptied. We just could do with some support. Everything's kind of demolished and gone.
Kakadia says it's an unnecessarily difficult way to end 40 years in business. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
A sentencing date has been set for a former Oneida Nation of the Thames Band counselor convicted of defrauding her own mother out of her residential school survival settlement. With more, here's Nick Paparella.
It's a shocking case of betrayal after 56-year-old Ursula Dockstader was found guilty of defrauding her own mother out of $150,000. It was a settlement check that the elderly Caroline Dockstader was supposed to receive under a class action settlement for residential school survivors. Instead, when her daughter, who was her power of attorney, got the check in July of 2023, she put it into her own bank account. The court heard most of the money was gone in a matter of 6 weeks, with just a fraction remaining. Justice Kevin McHugh found Dockstader, a former Oneida Nation of the Thames Band counselor, guilty of fraud over $5,000 and forgery. The judge said the complainant knew nothing about the $150,000 check that had arrived. He added the accused utilized the funds for her own benefit. To make matters worse, the court heard that during her trial almost a year ago, Dockstader told her mother, a senior who now lives in the United States, that she would be receiving a settlement of only $50,000 from the government, with Justice McHugh saying she misled her mother about the funds. The complainant had no idea of how much money was received. He went on, the defendant engaged in deceit, which led to a corresponding deprivation by the complainant of the said funds, which were rightfully hers. The check in question was one of thousands issued by the Canadian government after a class action lawsuit was filed by residential school survivors. Meanwhile, a sentencing hearing for Ursula Dockstader is now set for April 14th. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
The new Iranian supreme leader is threatening the United States as well as his Middle Eastern neighbors and world energy supplies. Iran's military is targeting tankers and oil facilities while holding a major oil supply route at a standstill. With the latest, here's Heather Wright.
An oil tanker off the coast of Iraq bursts into flames, one of two vessels attacked overnight, prompting Iraqi officials to close its oil terminals. Iran has claimed responsibility for attacking one of the ships, saying it had disobeyed and ignored warnings. At least one person was killed and 37 others rescued. More than a dozen tankers and other vessels have been attacked since this war began nearly 2 weeks ago, with Iran's new supreme leader vowing more disruption in the future. The leverage of blocking the Strait of Hormuz must continue to be used, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei said in a statement that was read on Iranian state TV. He also vowed to avenge all Iranian deaths and open other fronts where the enemy is vulnerable. This is the first known public statement the Ayatollah has made since being named his father's successor on Monday, though he has still not been seen in public. His comments are expected to bring more uncertainty to oil markets, where prices have skyrocketed and concerns this conflict may drag on are growing.
Everyone is pushing their side that it's going to be over quickly, at least from the U.S. Military side of the house. But this is going to be a much longer game than people are realizing, especially if regime change is the ultimate goal.
In Lebanon, Hezbollah and Israel continue to trade fire overnight, with Iran's proxy firing dozens of rockets into northern Israel, while Israel retaliated with heavy bombardment of Beirut and its suburbs. The United Nations estimates as many as 800,000 people have been driven from their homes, many living in tents along Beirut's waterfront. Who is in these tents, this man asks. There are children, elderly people, women. There are fears this conflict will spread even further. Here in Turkey, the foreign minister Hakan Fidan hosted his German counterpart, both calling for an immediate end to this war, while also warning against inciting a civil war in Iran.
Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States Navy could be used to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz, something his energy secretary said today was not possible at this time. Heather Wright, CTV News, Istanbul.
Authorities in Michigan say a suspect is dead after driving a car into a synagogue, leading to a shootout with security guards. That as the president is briefed on the possible activation of Iranian sleeper cells and the threat they pose on U.S. soil. Joy Malbin reports.
A massive police presence outside a Michigan synagogue. An armed gunman reportedly tried to ram a car packed with explosives into Temple, Israel, containing a school and young children. The gunman tackled by security and is now dead.
Any ties potentially to terrorism?
That's still way early to talk about. We have no idea because we don't even know who the person is at the moment.
No one was hurt seriously, but the FBI is on high alert, and so are faith institutions, worried that the war in Iran has come home. Yesterday, pro-Iranian hackers claimed credit for a cyber attack on Stryker, a Michigan medical technology company, wiping out laptops and mobile devices. The group claimed it was retaliation for the missile attack on the Iranian school that killed children. Early military reports suggest the U.S. was likely responsible. And the FBI warned police of a potential surprise drone attack against unspecified targets in California, and that the drones would come from an unidentified vessel off the coast of the United States homeland.
This is extremely alarming. We know that Iran's approach to combating the United States and Israel is through asymmetric warfare.
U.S. intelligence also issued alerts about potential Iranian sleeper cells of proxies that could be activated.
Well, without question, we had intelligence that indicated that Iran was in fact establishing these kinds of cells when I was director of the CIA. So I'm sure they continue to do that.
The president last night.
We know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
FBI Director Kash Patel has placed counterterrorism teams on high alert, concerned that Iran will try to retaliate, especially at places of worship. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
7 social service agencies are now under one roof in Perth County. With more on the United Way's new Access Centre in Listowel, here's Scott Miller.
The ribbon has been cut on Listowel's Access Centre, an initiative of the United Way of Perth Huron, bringing 7 social service agencies under one roof.
Oftentimes we're helping the same people, so we can do that together, and it's a one-stop shop for folks to come to and receive support.
There may not be a rep from each agency at the Listowel Access Centre every single day, but it is a safe, secure location for those in need of help to meet in their local community, instead of having to go to Stratford, where most Huron-Perth social service agencies are headquartered.
They're really satellite offices for organizations that have their head offices in the major urban centers in our region, for sure. And so it allows us to provide better service. So bringing service to people is incredibly important.
The downtown building housing Listowel's Access Centre is actually owned by the United Way of Perth Huron, who purchased it thanks to an $800,000 interest-free loan from the municipality of North Perth over a year ago. The main floor will house the multitude of social services, while upstairs is being transformed into 10 affordable housing units. Some of those units will actually be reserved for kids who age out of children's aid foster care.
Well, oftentimes we have youth that exit out of CAS care without housing. Right, so they become housing or homeless or precariously housed. So now we're able to offer some apartments for folks to transition into, where they're still supported, where they're young adults and they still receive the services they need, and to get into permanent housing.
Not only do we have the service providers here and can help the community right now, but when we think we've got 10 units upstairs that we're working towards opening hopefully within about a year, and when they're there, if people need support, they can walk downstairs, right? So it's a really incredible part of the partnership to have services right on site.
This is the 3rd Access Centre opened by the United Way. The other 2 are in Exeter and Vanastra. In Listowel, Scott Miller, CTV News.
When we come back, the parents of local astronaut Jeremy Hansen pay a visit to his former high school. Plus, a new chapter for the Ilderton Arena, unveiling $1 million worth of upgrades.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. The parents of local astronaut Jeremy Hansen visited his old high school in Ingersoll today. Their tour coincided with the latest update on their son's Artemis moon mission. Sean Irvin reports.
As they anxiously await another chance for their son to become the first non-American ever to leave the Earth's lower orbit, the parents of astronaut Jeremy Hansen took a trip down memory lane. Nancy and Gary Hansen visited the Ingersoll High School where their son attended decades before he was selected to be part of the Artemis II mission to the moon.
It's actually hard to believe. You think, Jeremy's going to be going around that moon, his dream since he was 5.
Before fielding questions, the Hansens were shown display case after display case created in tribute to their son. From old yearbook photos to replicas of his spacecraft, the school is paying homage to their now famous, soon-to-be out-of-this-world graduate. The Artemis Explorers Club, behind most of the effort, was created after Hansen was selected for the mission.
The kids are really, really into this, and it's nice to see that they put so much work into it.
The Hansons rewarded the club with gifts from the Canadian Space Agency. It is a moment the students will cherish as they await the next chance for Hanson and Artemis II to launch.
It'll definitely be a little bit of a flex to say I went to the same school as them.
A key theme of Jeremy Hanson's that his parents shared with students here at his former school is to be dedicated to their dreams and their goals, whether they're found in the stars or just around the corner.
It kind of inspired me to just work harder at what I dream of.
After all, a dream is where Jeremy's path to space began. It is one his parents say he never gave up on.
We all say we're going to be this and that, right? So you don't think anything of it, but it's stuck in his mind.
Really hard to think of my little boy's going to be doing this, but yeah, we're really proud of him. We couldn't be prouder.
The Hansons have been in limited contact with their son as the mission resets, but with each trip to watch a potential launch, the reality of what he's about to do intensifies.
Because this is a very historical mission. We didn't realize really how big it was, but now we're learning more and more. And we're very fortunate, Canada is, to be on, have a seat on this rocket.
In Ingersoll, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
The Ilderton Arena officially reopened today following a major renovation project. The facility has served the community for more than 50 years, and with more on its new upgrades, here's Lauren Stallone.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Ilderton Arena is celebrating its grand reopening following major facility upgrades.
From what it was to what it is now is night and day.
The province of Ontario announced a $1 million investment back in July to help cover the costs of essential repairs and upgrades to the arena.
Arenas like this across our province have been aging out, and they've been not received a whole lot of love.
The upgrades were supported through Ontario's Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund as part of a $4 million renovation project.
All these communities are applying for it. They need the money. They need that money to get going.
The $1 million came into this property and helped retrofit in many ways the washrooms, making them accessible for the locker rooms and the washrooms. The boards that I'm standing beside are now accessible for anyone who wants to come in and watch.
The event recognizes the completion of renovations that strengthen the arena's role as a central hub for sports, recreation, and community life in Ilderton.
This is a place where people gather and see each other, and it's critical to have amenities like that in our communities. It builds community.
Ilderton Arena opened in 1972 and is famously home to Olympic gold medalists Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer.
You look at the skaters that were out there today that did an amazing job, and all the young skaters that are out there, you know, possibly future gold medalists.
Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
We're launching a new series here at CTV News London. I'll be sitting down with some of the top decision makers and leaders in our city and the region. It's called Leading London, and my first guest is Mayor Josh Morgan. Have a look. Mental health and addictions. Are you satisfied with the progress? I know as recently as September, there was a report from City Hall about a 19% increase in the number of Londoners living on the streets right now. In terms of progress, what are you seeing?
Yeah, first off, there's been a 25% increase across the province, 19% in the City of London. And so why have we bucked the trend a little bit, even though we're a fast-growing city? And we, with more population growth than average, you'd expect we'd be higher. Well, we've instituted a number of programs over the last number of years that is actually helping. Now, here's the challenge. It's very difficult to see that.
I was going to ask, do you think Londoners see that progress?
No, I don't. And you can't see it because I'll tell you this. I said this at my State of the City address. In the past 3 years, we have permanently housed, taken people off the street and permanently housed 1,500 people. Those 1,500 people, if you walk downtown, or in Old East Village, or look in parks or doorways of businesses, you don't see them anymore because they've moved from the streets into stable, permanent housing. But we've seen this flood of homelessness across the province increase. 25% is a significant number. And so although we've helped a lot of people, there's still more people falling into homelessness than not. And often people will say, well, you had, about 1,900 people on the list, now it's over 2,000. They're not the same people on the list. And I think people forget that. So people are going through the system. People are coming off the streets through the programs we set in place, and they're getting into stable housing, but people are also falling into it. That's why the advocacy that we have at the provincial and national levels is really critical, because no one city will solve this issue alone.
And for my full interview with Mayor Morgan, you can head to our website, ctvnewslondon.ca. Meteorologist Gary Archibald is with me tonight. And Gary, it feels like we're kind of in a transitional period right now from those balmy temperatures earlier this week now to sounds like a almost wintry warning we're getting from you right now.
You're right about that. Good evening, Carlyle. Good evening, folks. We're going to see gusty wind developing late tonight into a very windy Friday. We'll see snow, then rain, then snow. Some parts of the Bruce Peninsula region, Grey Bruce combined, Georgian Bay territory definitely getting hammered by snow early tomorrow morning, and we could see significant snowfall today. Now, today wasn't very warm, but it was seasonably cool, and we've been warmer within the last week, no doubt. And now we're seeing the ebb and flow of big transitions. Right now, holding at 1 degree Celsius, partly cloudy conditions, the winds picking up through tonight and tomorrow. We will see it really explode. There you have it, say around 9-10 a.m. These are the gusts, so peak winds over a particular amount of time. Sustained winds will be in the 40s possibly, but as high as gusts in the 80s is possible across parts of southwestern Ontario. That's for tomorrow. One storm has evacuated our airspace, riding the Atlantic coast into the Maritimes and Newfoundland, Labrador with rain, snow. We got into a bit of a break in southern Ontario early this morning. Now we're going to see some clouds with the encroachment of this massive system bringing snow and rain right through the heart of the Great Lakes. And there's a chance of 5+ centimeters of snow in the city of London itself. There it comes early in the morning, wrapping around some warm air and then colder as we move through the daylight time frame. That's when it will be warm enough that the yield from this system changes over to a rain-snow mix. Speaking of snow, I put this together for you just to give you an idea of the spread, a projection over the next 24 hours. 15, maybe 20 centimeters in Kitchener-Waterloo. This model has 13 centimeters in the next 24 hours. In the great city of London, I think it will be closer to 5 to 10, but it's significant. A lot of it will melt on contact with a relatively warm surface. Just beneath the surface, it's very saturated throughout much of southern Ontario, so we're going to add to that significant rainfall. The spread is right across the heart of southern Ontario, right through the Golden Horseshoe, spreading further east towards Cornwall and then the nation's capital. If you have travel plans anywhere along the 401 corridor, expect to see a rain-snow mix definitely within the next 24 hours, extended into the weekend proper. Look at the next 7 days. And it's been so difficult to forecast because so many different elements are at play. The jet streams meandering across North America, draws in warm air coming from the Gulf, cold air from the north, and that's why these temperatures are fluctuating, and the variable types of weather we're seeing in terms of activity over the next 7 days. Snow and rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the mix. The Midwest is where we get hit the hardest, and I think Grey Bruce could be looking at 10 to 20 centimeters easily. It will soon melt, but it's coming. And that means travel plans could be affected definitely in the next 24 to 48 hours. It is a messy, difficult forecast, admittedly, but the next 24 hours, we are sure that we are seeing snow and rain. And hopefully we'll get through it all. Carlyle?
Hopefully. All right, Gary, thanks very much. Still ahead, the perceived shortcomings of Canada's Registered Disability Savings Plan. Why a Canadian family say, knowing what they know now, they would have never opened one.
Pure Country 93. London's home for the best country music. Listen for your chance to win $50,000 with Pure Country's Big 50K Payday.
A noticeable increase in air travel prices could be on the horizon as the war in the Middle East impacts the cost of jet fuel. Industry analysts say significant fare increases could be on the way in the coming months, as much as $200 higher for an international flight. At this point, they say it's not clear how domestic flights would be affected, speculating airlines could try to minimize those impacts. In a statement, WestJet officials say rising jet fuel prices are already increasing their operation costs. And officials with Air Canada and Porter Airlines also issued statements saying it's too early to forecast the full ticket impact. The new cap on non-sufficient fund fees for banks began today. The new federal rule means banks are not allowed to charge more than $10 to people who don't have enough money in their accounts to cover a check or pre-authorized charge. The changes also prohibit banks from charging more than a single fee over 2 business days for the same account, as well as banning any fee when the account shortfall is less than $10. The new cap is expected to save Canadians more than $600 million annually. A Toronto family are bringing forward concerns with the federal government's Registered Disability Savings Plan. It's meant to help people with disabilities save for the future, but as Pat Foran reports, the program has its own limitations.
This is Sebastian. Say hi, Sebastian.
Sebastian Correa of Toronto is 14 years old. He was born with a heart defect and had a heart transplant as a baby. His mother, Sandra Martinez, says while he's a happy boy, he faces many medical challenges.
Transplanted heart, the fact that he can't eat by mouth, the fact that he doesn't speak, the fact that he has autism.
Martinez says it was suggested they open a registered disability savings plan, an RDSP, for Sebastian so he would have money when he was older. They believe they could make withdrawals from the plan after 30 years, but recently found out they'd have to wait much longer.
We would not be able to touch his money until he was 60 years old. That was a shock to us.
The family has about $100,000 in the RDSP. They must wait 10 years from the date of the government's last contribution to withdraw without penalty. In most cases, you must wait until you are 60 to withdraw funds from the RDSP without penalty. Martinez says by then, they won't be around to help.
Unfortunately, I don't think that he will get to 60 years old.
The penalty for early withdrawals is substantial, 3 times the amount taken out. Martinez says trying to get information on the plan has been frustrating.
If we were told at the very beginning when we sat down with an advisor at the bank that it would have been 60 years, we would never have done it.
It is complex, and again, it's relatively new.
Brendan Pooran's law firm specializes in supporting those with disabilities. He says while the goal of the RDSP is to promote long-term savings, he believes changes to the plan could benefit many families.
There are some creative solutions that the government could potentially consider when it comes to allowing people to access their funds.
Martinez says changes are needed.
I'm pretty sure there are more families like us that are in the same situation.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Canada's main stock index was down again as the price of oil rose. The TSX fell 279 points in New York. The Dow lost 739. The Nasdaq dropped 404. The Canadian dollar down 0.16 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold fell more than $53 an ounce. Oil gained almost $8.50 a barrel. When we come back, Stratford's Swan Parade canceled. Why local authorities decided it was best for the birds to let them return in peace. Welcome back. Suncor Energy officials in Sarnia reported a spill into the St. Clair River Wednesday night. A public alert went out just before 8 p.m. for hydrocarbon sheen observed on the water. Officials say cleanup efforts continued today and the spill was contained at the source. They also state the spill did not move downstream and municipal water was not affected. City officials in Stratford have canceled this year's annual Swan Parade, citing the birds' welfare. The parade has drawn large crowds in recent years, which, as Jeff Pickle reports, may have been doing more harm than good for the animals.
A big crowd for a short walk. The flock of swans making their way from their winter home back to the Avon River. But this year, the swans will be returning to their summer residence on their own schedule without the pomp and circumstance.
We have that date where we're glued to, that first Sunday in April every year. It's not always the best for the swans because the water levels, the weather, and their mating patterns aren't all lined up.
The city of Stratford says the Swan Parade started as a fun local tradition, but has grown beyond their control, creating a stressful situation for the swans.
The Swan release did become a kind of a victim of its own success. It morphed organically, but it got very large.
The mayor says he is on board with the move.
Over the years, it has swollen to a place and has such notoriety where busloads come in. And then we start talking about, is this for the swans or is this for the visitors?
Mayor Martin Ritzma says when it comes to the welfare of the beloved local birds, it was an easy decision.
The issues around the swans, we have to put that first. And that's going to usurp, perhaps some other economic benefits, if I could say it that way.
In the last few years, the parade has drawn hundreds of spectators, but even the local tourism board is flying in formation on this decision.
I love to see things that bring people downtown, but not at the expense of the health of our swans.
Pritchard says the long-term health of the flock is a better investment than a one-day spectacle.
We do need to worry about the swans and what it means to them, rather than saying, how can I promote my business by having the Swan Parade?
This year, the swans will be released on their own schedule and not all at once. The first birds are expected back in the Avon in late March or early April. Jeff Pickle, CTV News, Stratford.
Welcome to this week's London List. I'm Rita Ismail. I'm joined by KP from Virgin Mornings. Now, we're kicking off the weekend with a special London Knights home game this Friday.
Yeah, it's the Fanshawe alumni game. It's going to be so much fun in honor of a really fantastic cause. So 519 Pursuit is going to be the charity involved. So they're looking for donations of new gloves, underwear, socks, and they're doing a 50-50 draw as well at the game, again, to raise funds for our friends in our community.
Yeah, 519 Pursuit does some great work all around.
Such a fantastic charity.
Absolutely. Something for the theater goers. The Grand Theater has officially announced their season.
Yeah, it's looking so good, by the way. Eclectic lineup, every type of genre you can imagine. My personal favorite that I'm looking forward to is the 9 to 5. It's a Dolly Parton musical. So they're actually using her music, her lyrics. It's going to be such a fun time. That one doesn't kick off till May, but you can check out thegrandtheater.com for the full list since they have announced the new 2026-2027 theater lineup.
Sounds like a great time. And of course, for the music lovers across the city, Sloan is in town.
Sloan, I'm so excited for this. Like, I grew up listening to Sloan. They are a Canadian staple. So this is going to be fun. London Music Hall, and shows at 8 o'clock on Saturday. And it's just looking like it's going to be a whole vibe, a whole lot of fun, and a whole lot of throwback along with some newer music too.
Nostalgic for sure. And I'm wearing green today because, of course, we're heading into the St. Patrick's Day weekend.
And I'm sad I forgot my green. I can't believe it.
You still have time. You can wear it out this weekend.
Deal. We do have a lot, including a big party at the German Canadian Club. So that's happening on Saturday. It looks like an awesome lineup. They've got live Irish music and dancers, and of course, Irish, how do we say, just drinks, just like a whole lot of Irish drinks.
The green beer.
Yeah, the green beer. I know, right? You gotta do it. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. That's happening all day at the German Canadian Club.
And of course, we are heading into spring with less than a week to go.
Yes.
This is a spring staple.
Yes, it is.
Maple syrup.
The Heritage Maple Syrup Festival. It's happening at the Ontario Museum of Archaeology here in London. It's happening all day on Saturday. You go, you learn all about tapping the maple syrup. They've got an Indigenous maple water blessing. They've got all sorts of really cool facts about, again, the ritual of tapping maple syrup. And the kids are going to love it because it's so delicious, and the adults will have a lot of fun too.
I've done that before with the kids, and it was a sweet experience.
Did you roll it on the stick in the snow? That's my favorite. Oh, and you eat it like a sucker. It's so good.
Oh, that is so fun. Thanks so much, KP. That's it for this week's London List.
Tomorrow on CTV News, a milestone moment on the Oneida Nation of the Thames, the latest step toward clean drinking water in the midst of a years-long boil water advisory. Tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to Mark Hurer for always providing beautiful images, just like this one. Partly cloudy tonight, about a 40% chance of flurries, gusty winds to the northwest, and then tomorrow, periods of rain and or snow mix throughout the day. Travel safely and watch out for icy roadways.
New Stats Canada figures show vehicle and auto part exports have hit a multi-year low. Exports have dropped more than 20% to about $5.4 billion in January. The last time they were that low was September 2021. Passenger car and light truck exports dropped more than 30% in January, while overall trade with the U.S. fell nearly 4%. The regional chair for Niagara has abruptly resigned following allegation he owns a signed copy of Hitler's infamous political manifesto. Siobhan Morris reports.
I wish I could bend that low.
2 weeks ago, the Niagara regional chair was alongside the premier at a hospital construction event. Now, Bob Gale has resigned less than 3 months after being appointed by the provincial government.
To purchase for thousands of dollars an original signed copy of Hitler's manifesto, and then going further out of your way to authenticate that Hitler's signature is in fact Hitler's signature is a problem.
The revelation from an anti-racism group who'd been contacted by a whistleblower. The concern is over a book that
not only caused a lot of harm with the genocide of Jews in World War II, but it's caused ongoing harm. There are at least 3 white supremacist organizations in Niagara who've been rallying, trying to intimidate people.
Gale doesn't deny owning a signed copy of Mein Kampf, nor does he apologize for it, calling himself a passionate historian. He believes this is really about his efforts to amalgamate Niagara's 12 municipalities and cut down its number of elected officials, writing about a strong vocal minority trying to keep their fiefdoms, addiction to power and tax dollars, while painting what he calls a picture that's untrue and hurtful.
I have no fiefdom to protect.
The mayor of Niagara Falls also sees this as opportunism for Gale's critics.
When he called me last night, it felt like a punch to the gut.
Diodati says Gale isn't hateful, just a collector.
A lot of people collect a lot of things. Some people collect weird things. I mean, people go watch movies about Jeffrey Dahmer or Paul Bernardo. Why do we make movies about things like that?
He believes Gale's departure will slow the conversation about how Niagara is governed, but not for long.
If we don't do something now, we're doomed.
The premier is frustrated by the number of politicians in Niagara, more than there are at Queen's Park.
I think people are sick and tired of, over a term, double-digit tax increases.
This local MPP puts the blame at Doug Ford's feet.
This is his pick. It's a former PC candidate that presumably has been vetted through the PC party. And it's been nothing but complete disaster.
The Office of the Minister of Municipal Affairs says it'll work to appoint a new chair and emphasizes that any changes to the governance of Niagara
has to be led by Niagara.
But that could be challenging.
I haven't spoken to anyone in Niagara who doesn't believe that change is necessary. I also haven't spoken to any 2 people who can agree on what that change should be.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
A provincial championship was on the line last night for Mother Teresa's boys basketball team in the OFSA final. The Spartans capped off a championship-winning performance with a game-ending dunk, and they beat A.Y. Jackson Secondary School from the Ottawa area 59-51. It was redemption for many on the Spartan squad after finishing as OFSA runners-up last year.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest on the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Hi, I'm Sherry Flick, your host of Weekend Spotlight, airing 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings right here on CTV London. This week, we talk to Lit Productions, a great concept, theater, music, night out with friends. You will find out more about that. Also, Film London. Let's look at 2025 and how it looked from a film production standpoint. And Jeff Kelly from Virgin Morning Radio. We'll be chatting with him as well. Talk to you then, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. right here.
Finally tonight, a senior in Toronto who's a multi-sport athlete at 102 years old. With more on his commitment to fitness well into old age, here's Andrea Case.
The 60-meter dash at the Canadian Masters Championships. And they're off. 40 seconds later, and the last to cross the finish line was Atar Singh Sikhan. Not bad for an old man. How old? Sikhan is 102. Through his son, Joginder Singh Sikhan, Atar says he's feeling very good today. Legally blind and hard of hearing, Joginder is by his side as a precaution. He had a busy weekend. In addition to the shot put, he took on the 50-meter and 200-meter race, winning each in his age group at a competition for athletes over the age of 35. But at his age, he's the only one in the 100 to 104 category. Sikhan moved to Canada in 1988 at the age of 64 and began exercising in his 70s to stay in shape. But he didn't start competing until 2017 at the age of 94.
He hopes he lives more longer. So long he lives, he will keep doing all these athletic activities.
As a Sikh, Atar says if he is reincarnated, he hopes to return as an even better athlete.
It's easier to raise strong and positive kids than to repair broken adults. If I can do at 102, why not other levels of age people can do these things?
Andrea Case, CTV News.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.